Okay, so we are going back to Hilchos Melachim, and we're going to do something that I don't think we've done yet. Have we ever used the Aruch Shulchan HaAsid in your memory? Because I was thinking about it. If we're doing the halachos of Hilchos Melachim, I decided over Shabbos to look up what we did in the Aruch Shulchan HaAsid, and just as background info here, this is on the Sfaria little blurb here. The Aruch Shulchan HaAsid, the Aruch Shulchan of the future. Is a parallel work to the Aruch Shulchan by the same author, by Yechiel Michael Epstein from 1875 to, no, that is not when he lived. He lived for more than 20 years, composed between 1875 and 1905. It focuses on laws not applicable during the life of the author, like agricultural laws that apply only in Israel and laws of sacrifices that only apply in temple times. The work style parallels that of the Aruch Shulchan, tracing laws to their origins and discussing the positions of recent and older authorities. It was published posthumously. So this is the closest thing to the Mishneh Torah. I mean, by a far cry, though, because, Rambam wrote a halacha code on all halacha, applicable, not applicable nowadays. And most of the other, codifiers, the Rif and the Ramah and the Shulchan Aruch and the Rush wrote on only stuff that applied now. Aruch Shulchan is the only one I know of who attempted to do a comprehensive thing on all the halachos that are like, not applying nowadays. So the problem is, in the actual Aruch Shulchan, he quotes like all of the Rishonim and the Achronim and stuff. Here, there isn't as much to quote from because it's basically the Rambam and like the Tanaitic and Amoraic sources. So a lot of it is just quoting the Rambam verbatim, but occasionally you get like nuggets. Okay, so for example, here's what he writes. This is in Simon, this is Hilchos Melachim, Simon Ayin Aleph. We're going to do just two halachos here. So Yud Aleph, he quotes the Rambam. Od Kasav, the Rambam writes, V'lo hamalchus bilvad ela kol hasrarus v'haminuyim Yerusha libeno ulevemeno adolam. So we read this last week. Not just malchus, but all positions of authority and appointments are an inheritance from to one's son and grandson forever. V'hushi haben mamale malchum avosa b'machachma v'yiraschet. That's only if the son is worthy to take his father's place in chachma and yiraschet. Okay. So then he says, "Haya mamali bira, afapish eno mamali b'chachma, ma'amin also b'makom avi b'malamin also." So if he is a replacement in yira but not chachma, you do replace the father, or you do have him take his father's place, and then you teach him. Someone does not have yiras shemaim, even though he has chachma, then you don't appoint him to anything. So that was just quoting from the Rambam. Then he adds the source, Zehu b'sifri parshas shoftim, v'kachshani nusham hu banav. It says by the king, he and his sons. Mainly ala zeh bilvad. So that only is about the king having an inheritance of the kingship. Minayin l'chol parnasei Yisrael shebenehem omdim tachneim. How do you know that all Jewish leaders take after their fathers? Tamlum or bekerev Yisrael, because the pasuk concludes in the midst of Israel. V'toras kohanim tanya dichsiv al nadav avihu ubanim lo hayu lahem. By Nadav and Avihu, when they died, it says they didn't have sons. Ha ilu haya lahem banim. So you infer from there, if they had sons, hayuhim kudumin, they would have come first. Alpha pishlo hayu shkulim ke'elazar v'itamar, even if they weren't equal to Elazar and Itamar, which I had never heard that before. That just those two sons of Aaron would have continued. Yeah.
No, that's sorry.
Oh, okay. So now the Aruch Shulchan answers our question, which is what about nowadays and like Rosh Yeshiva and stuff. So he says, and again, I don't know how we poskin, how different people poskin. V'da, and this is going to make you make a face. Based on what we're learning. All of this is only regarding appointments and positions of authority. Like being a Kohen Gadol or being a Nasi, or I don't know if there's a Gabai Tzedakah. But something that the root is the Torah, like the Rav of a congregation, a Rosh Yeshiva, we don't give precedence to the son, because the Torah is not an inheritance. Okay, and we're learning a sugya now about how the whole reason why we can't teach Torah to non-Jews, or non-Jews can't learn Torah, is because the Torah is an inheritance. And that's like the first pasuk, So I don't know, maybe Morasha, Yerusha, but whatever. So that's what he says halachically.
It's not a familial.
Yeah, it's not a correct. That's probably what it means, right? It's not a familial inheritance. Ulafiani is daiti, according to my humble opinion, dilchein lo nismana echad mibnei Moshe Rabbeinu tachtav mipnei she'ena Torah birusha. That's why there was no appointment of Moshe's sons, right? Because the Torah is not an inheritance. V'lechein gam Yehoshua she'ikar esek shelo haisa haTorah lo yarash yorsho acharav. So to Yehoshua, whose primary involvement was Torah, his inheritor, I don't know who Yeshua's son was. Do you know? Okay.
Well, it's clear the next show if it wasn't the.
Okay, right. So whatever. Who the son did not inherit his position. Ach Yehoshua levad zeh shelo haya lo ben. Oh. Also, the fact that Yeshua didn't have a son.
Where does he get that?
Oh no, I see what he's saying. So Yeshua didn't have a son. I don't know where he's getting that, but he's saying that his next inheritor didn't inherit him. And with the other appointments, if the kid is only a replacement for his father in Yerushalayim, even though in Chachma he's not on the level, then we don't care. But if if the involvement has to do with Torah, shitah, obviously you don't appoint the son after him. You need Chachma and Yerushalayim. Yeah.
So it's not is it a matter of like Chachma, like best person to continue the inheritance, or you don't give it to the son either way?
So it's a good question of like, you mean like, let's say you have like a son who has Chachma and Yerushalayim, and you have another guy who has more Chachma.
Right.
Then who would you give precedence to? Is that the question? Yeah, right.
Avoid giving your son also.
Right.
Even if he's like fitting.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it should go based on Torah, right? Like just the qualifications themselves, Chachma and Yerushalayim. But he does talk about it as though there still sounds like there's a remnant of like the son is like an automatic candidate or something if he qualifies in these areas. Yeah, not sure. I think that was the only thing I wanted to say. Yeah. Okay, that's the only thing I saw there. So that was interesting. So that does answer our question about the Shul Rav and Rosh Yeshiva, at least according to him. Yeah.
Also, he's funny. Like, this is basically the opposite of being Muslim. He's like the one thing that's actually inherited. He's saying it doesn't go by inheritance.
It's opposite of what? I didn't hear what you said.
What people do, because like the one thing that's
right.
That's, or at least the main thing that's like actually inherited today.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, I guess really depends what you classify it as.
Yeah, right. Because I could see there being a thing where like religious leadership is kind of a combo of like guiding people and govern community affairs and also Torah, Yeah, it also depends on what kind of Hasidim, right? I mean, there were Hasidic groups like Ger and Chabad that like the idea of the Hasidus is a focus on learning. And then there are other types of Hasidim that were not as focused on learning historically. I don't know now, like, what the split is. Okay, back to where we left off in the Rambam. I think the last thing we did was how the king has to get a haircut every day, right? And he sits on his throne. Okay, so now today we're doing kavod-interactions, like rock, paper, scissors type things.
They're all people who demand kavod?
Yeah, who demand kavod, yeah, for different reasons. Okay, so let's see here. We got Afilu Navi Ome Lifnei Melech. So Navi stands before Melech. Okay. Umishtaka velo arza, and bows to him on the ground. Shneimar hine nasan hanavi. Behold, here's nasan hanavi v'yavo hamelech v'yishtachu lemelech. And he came before the Melech and he bowed in front of the Melech ala pav arza, on his face to the ground. Aval Kohen Gadol inu ba lifnei Melech el im ratza. That's interesting. The Kohen Gadol only comes before the king if he wants. Is that if the Kohen? I assume if the Kohen Gadol wants. Because it sounds like he's being contrasted with the Navi. The Eno Omed Lafanav, and he doesn't stand in front of him. Ela HaMelech Omed Lifnei Kohen Gadol. The Melech stands in front of the Kohen Gadol. What?
Oh, this is like a parade order.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Shneimar Lifnei Elazar HaKohen Yamod V'Sha'Allah. It says about it says he stood before Elazar Kohen and asked him. Who's that talking about? Moshe? Or no, Yeshua ben Nun. Yeshua ben Nun stood before Elazar Kohen and asked him. So, and Yeshua, I guess, had a din of king, according to what the Rambam wrote earlier. Nevertheless, mitzvah al Kohen Gadol l'chabed es hamelech ulahoshivo. It is a mitzvah on the Kohen Gadol to honor the king ulahoshivo. What does hoshiv mean here? And to where are we? And to have him seated and standing in his presence when he visits him. lahoshiva, like to make him sit. Wait, is it mitzvah? Let me just read that again. I lost my place again. Mitzvah al hakohen gadol l'chabis melech. I get that lahoshivo. V'lamo impanav kishiyav. Oh, so in other words, to sit and then stand when the king arrives. So it's like he shows him honor, but just like rishus, like he doesn't have to. All right. V'lo yamod hamelech l'fanav ela kishiyishal lo b'mishpat ha'urim. And the king only stands before him when he asks, inquires of the urim v'tumim. Didn't he just say? So I guess he's qualifying that. He's saying the king only stands before the Kohen Gadol when he asks the Urim B'tumim. So that's a weird thing, right? Because the Urim B'tumim is a type of like Ruach HaKodesh. So you're not standing for the Kohen Gadol, but you're standing for like the function that he serves in terms of a conduit to Ruach HaKodesh from Hashem. Okay, v'chein mitzvah al hamelach l'chabed lomdei Torah. There's a mitzvah upon the king to honor those who learn Torah. Ukishiyikansu lefanav Sanhedrin Chachmei Yisrael. When the Sanhedrin and the Chachmei Yisrael enter before the king, ya'amod lifneim. He stands up before them. V'yoshrim b'tito, and they sit by his side. Which is also interesting because the Navi is definitely a Talmid Chacham, but the king does not. He didn't say whether the king stands for the Navi. He said the Navi stands before the king. Oh, no, he did. Yeah, he didn't say whether the king stands for the Navi. So presumably he would, because he's Talmid Chacham. So when the Sanhedrin and the Chachmei Yisrael come, and they sit by his side, which I guess is a position of honor, yeah? Right, so then I wonder if it goes, well, I guess they would.
I assume they're both Talmid Chacham and the king wins out.
It's a good question. Or do they both treat each other as fellow Talmid Chachamim? You know, like, yeah, I don't know. This is what Asa HaMelech did even for Talmid Chachamim. He would stand up from his throne, kiss him, and say before him, my master, my teacher, my master, my whatever. Okay, so when are we talking about? That's when the king is in his house by himself with his servants. Oh, so I think this is qualifying everything that we just read. He does all these things in private. But he should not do this in front of the people. Okay, that makes a lot more sense because I feel like it's a very big thing that no one should take like honor precedence over the king except for God, you know. But he should not stand before anybody. He should not speak gently. He should only call a person by his name. So that his the dread of him should be in the heart of everybody. So I guess you can't call him like by nickname, you know. Yeah. Okay, onward. Just like the Torah apportions great kavod to him, and everyone is obligated in honoring the king. So this is the counterpart, yeah? What about?
As in calling Shlomo Kohelas.
I think when it says calling him that, I think it means, first of all, hold on a second. No, it's saying he can't call, he has to call them by their name, right? Yeah, I don't think you'd be allowed to call the king by a nickname, but we can refer to the king with a nickname, just not like to him, I don't think, you know, like we definitely do that, like you're saying, Kohelas, Yedidia, you know, all the names from Moshe. Okay, so just like the pasuk, just like the Torah gives great kavod to the king, so too, and everyone's obligated to honor him, so too, his heart needs to be lowly and hollow within him. I think hollow heart here does not mean like unfeeling. I think it means like receptive to like awe of God or something. In fact, we'll see what it means in Tehillim. Kuftes halal means, according to my favorite Radak, let's see. Oh, went too far. Oh, he's here. Radak, halal. No, he doesn't know what halal is. Who's going to help us with halal? Halal. Killed. That's what he says. Like a corpse halal. Corpseified? Zombified? Can't be what it is. Halal. Oh, who said that? No one's helping us. Not even mitzvahs. I guess it's an expression of being in tremendous fear. That's what it seems to be. Okay, fine. So he has to be in fear internally. Oops. And what happens? V'lo yinhog gasus leiv b'Yisrael yesem midah. He should not behave haughtily towards Israel, towards Jews exceedingly. Shnemar levilti rum levavo meichad. It says that in the pasuk that the whole reason for these mitzvahs of the king and holding the Sefer Torah is so that his heart should not be haughty of his brothers. So that's a really hard thing. Everyone gives you the greatest honor, and like to like a crazy extent, and to maintain your non-haughty, your humility in the face of that has got to be difficult. I mean, you can see why. I mean, you got to wonder. He has to hold the Torah scroll at all times except going to the bathroom. So like you got to wonder, does that just wear off? Like people forget that they're wearing a yarmulke or what?
So of course, those like Tefilah.
Yeah, right. The only thing I'm wondering though that's different is that people, we see that the honor that people give to the Sefer Torah does not wear off, right? Like in other words, like I think any shul, people stand up for the Sefer Torah. I know not everyone knows all the halachos, but like people, I don't think there are people who just casually like treat the Sefer Torah with total disregard. So if that's the case, then it could. So you could see the sociological phenomenon here. When you enter into the king, you see him holding the Sefer Torah. There's automatically going to be like a ripple of reverence through the crowd for the Torah, and I wonder if that reminds the king that the whole reason why they're honoring him is because of his allegiance to the Torah. Yeah.
I don't know why you're seeing the Sefer Torah effect also wouldn't wear off, and that maybe I presume it doesn't because it's only occasionally brought out. But if you just had Sefer Torahs lying around all the time, like people would not, maybe start eating over Sefer Torah. Like
that could be. It could be. Yeah, it's a speculation. I don't know how.
Wear off on it necessarily.
Say again.
Like holding something is you have to hold something all the time. It's just,
I mean, you're also saying though, it'd be like if you wore tefillin all the time, you would, it would wear off. Sefer Torah is much bigger. It'd be like, it'd be like, those big carnival animals that you win. If I just ask you to hold on to that, even if you get used to it, your mind is not going to be off of it. It's just so physically large.
I think on top of the fact that if he's trying to keep his ego in check,
right,
it helps.
Definitely, if you're trying, then you'll be able to use it that way. Yeah.
The answer is will be this large thing. I presume that.
It could be smaller. That's true.
I'm just saying if you have to hold it, even if it's small,
right?
You have to hold this all the time. It's like,
yeah, we should do an experiment. Get a puzzle Sefer Torah and have someone hold it.
For a while.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting experiment though. Just a psychological experiment. Get a puzzle Sefer Torah, have someone hold it all day. And I don't know how long you'd have to experiment for it to really be the case. Yeah. Could we just finish reading this because we're almost done with the pair? He should be gracious and merciful to the small and the great. I think it's talking about like in social stature. I mean, he should go in and out with their desire and with their benefit. I think he means like benevolently. And he should be concerned with the kavod of the smallest, most minor person. So he can't let his kavod. He can't like be a kavod black hole, like sucking up all the kavod. He has to give it to people, even people who don't really deserve it. When he speaks to the people in the plural, then yadaber rakos. Then he should speak gently. Shnemar shemuuni achiv ami. Like who says this? David says, "Listen, my brothers and my people." That's very soft. If today I am a servant before you. Oh, didn't Charles says something like that at his coronation. Hold on a second. Charles III, servant quote. Let's see if it's no. The servant was clear my desk for me. Okay, that is not coronation. That's not very common. He said something to the effect of like, I am not here. Oh no, I'm not here for like the people to serve me. I'm here as a servant of the people, something like that. I mean, he probably got it from like, scripture or whatever, but yeah. Okay. And yeah, so then he says, so that's from Malachim. Then he has to conduct himself with excess humility, which is already interesting because in Deos, you already have to be like excess. There's like excess of the excess. There's no one greater than Moshe. And he said, what are we? meaning that's the thing. There's a Gemara, I think, that says that like David said, I'm a worm, and Avram Avinu said, I'm dust and ashes, and Moshe said, what am I? Yispol Tarcham Umasam, he should put up with their toil and their burden, Katzpam, and their complaints and their anger. Okay, you're gonna have to do that if you're in any position of office. Kasher Yisah Omines Hayonek, like a nursemaid bears her nursling. That's the phrase from Moshe. Ro'e Karo Kasov. The pasuk called him a shepherd of the people. Liros Biakov Amo, to shepherd his Yaakov, his people. The Darcho show Roa Meforish Bakabala, the way of the shepherd is explicit in the psukim. Karoa Edro Yire Bizroa Yikabetz Tlaimu Vacheko Yisa Alos Yanahel, which means I don't get that last part, so I'm just going to look in the English because it's Yeshayahu and I don't know Yeshayahu Hebrew, which is like a shepherd, like one who shepherds his flock, even as a shepherd that feeds his flock, that gathers the lambs in his arm and carries them in his bosom and gently leads those that give suck. That's kind of an anticlimactic thing. Yisa alos yanahel. I don't think that's to suck. I think it's to guide. Or alos maybe, like olel. Okay, fine. Yeah. So he basically cares for like a baby, like baby lambs. Yeah. Okay, that's the end of chapter 2. Let's just see what chapter 3 is about. See if we want to do that. Chapter 3, because it doesn't go on Melch stuff forever. This is the halachos of the Sefer Torah. Sure, why not? Okay, and then I think.
How are we doing the last king thing on Thursday? I realized that wasn't going to be
Then people said, okay, let's go on. But I think that's it, though. I mean, there's stuff about the government setup, but I think this is the last thing about the king himself. These are the isurim for the king. I would like to do that. Yeah. Okay, very good. Thanks for coming.